Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen, welcome back to Sunday morning and the Old Cookbook Show. But today we're not going to do a cookbook that's that old. This is called Tempting Treats from Ontario Maple Bushes. Although it was handed out by the Nova Scotia Department of Agriculture and Marketing. This is from, I would say, the mid-70s. There's a dedication in the front to someone who was head of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food from 66 to 74. So it's at least after 74. And I would say that based on the recipes that are in here and the binding and the printing and everything else, that it is mid-70s. We're going to make something called maple brown muffins. And the reason I'm doing a not-so-old recipe from a not-so-old book and I'm doing maple Bran Muffins is it's been a while since we've cooked with maple syrup. So I'm going to measure out 3/4 of a cup, and I'm into the reserve syrup at this point. I had to buy this jug. There we go. Spring can't come early enough so that we can tap the trees again and get our own syrup. And none of the family members that tap were willing to give any up. So I had to go buy some. Anyway, it's not that bad. Stuff grows on trees. So into the mixing jug goes the maple syrup. And we're going to put in 2 eggs. And we'll give that a whisk. Next ingredient are crushed bran flakes. So this is bran flakes cereal. I just poured it into this measuring cup. Just kept crushing it down with my fist until I got to 2.5 cups. In that goes. And we'll mix that together. It says to mix it together and then let it stand for 5 minutes. So we'll get it mixed up. I'm going to switch to this to mix it. Okay. So just let that stand for 5 minutes. While we're waiting, we'll prep the dry. So I've got flour and baking soda. And we'll just give that a bit of a stir. These are, well, it calls for walnuts, but you know, those are pecans. I'll just mix that in at the same time. I think we're looking good. I don't know what we're supposed to see here. The bran flakes have definitely gotten a little softer. But there's only so soft they're going to get because the maple syrup doesn't really soak in all that much. Next in, I've got the dry ingredients ready to go. It needs a cup of sour cream. I want to explain myself a little bit. When I stand here and say, measure your sour cream carefully, really what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter that much. It really doesn't matter. I know that for a very long time, everybody's been told baking is a science and you have to be exact, you need to be gram perfect, and you don't need to be. There are certain parts of a recipe where you can just do it. And I've been cooking long enough that I have a good feel for what I can play with. For those of you who are just starting out, what I want you to know is that you can make mistakes. It's not the end of the world. You're going to mismeasure things. It's not the end of the world. Baking isn't as much of a science as, you know, the gatekeepers and the really sort of stuffy folks who do a lot of cooking shows are going to let on. You can make mistakes. It's still going to be edible. It's still going to taste great. It really doesn't matter that much. And in the case of the sour cream, a cup, cup and a quarter, 3/4 of a cup doesn't really matter all that much. But I still want you to know that probably 3 times during this video, the recipe is going to show up on screen, and it's going to be down in the description box below, where I do give the full ingredients and measurements. I'm not letting you hang over here as I laugh and say measure carefully. Really what I'm trying to do is kind of give you the tools to say I'm going to give this a go, and it's going to be fine. I don't want to stand here and say, if you don't measure perfectly 100% all of the time, you're going to starve and you're a failure. You're not. Get in the kitchen. Make it happen. It's going to be fine. Looking good. All mixed up. Now, the dry ingredients, I'm going to go half. And we'll mix that in. There's an admonition here not to overbeat. Yeah, there was a bit of a sigh there. You don't want to overbeat because you don't want to create long chains of gluten, which would make the end baking product tough and dry. In this instance, I don't think you really can. You could beat this, for probably 20 minutes before you got any real gluten development, because of the way that gluten develops and the what it needs in terms of liquid, blah blah blah, so on and so forth, is just not here. But in the time it's taken me to rant about that, it's mixed. So the recipe says to spoon into muffin tins. This is a 6-tin deep big pan, and I have greased them. From this time period, I'm pretty sure the recipe writer was thinking about much smaller muffin tins. But for some reason, I wanted big muffins today, so I got the big muffin tin. Okay, last little bit into that cup because it kind of got shortchanged. And into the oven, 400 for 20 minutes. And as always, the times given in recipes are just vague approximations.
Woo! Muffins. Which side am I on here?
Maple bran muffins.
Maple bran muffins. Ooh.
Kind of an interesting recipe. I don't know if I mentioned this while I was making them. There's no fat, and I'll clarify that. There's no fat. There's no shortening, there's no butter, there's no vegetable shortening, there's no lard. There is a little bit of fat from the sour cream, but that's, not that much.
I was just saying, yeah. So I was going to say, is this like a 1970s? Because it's got that, it's not the cake version of muffins. It's the, not super sweet, quite pleasant.
It's not as sweet as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a sugar bomb, but it doesn't present that way, does it? Mm-mm. It's very subtle.
Why is there that much maple syrup in it?
3/4 of a cup. That's really good.
I like that. I have that for breakfast.
I would hazard to say a raisin might be okay in it. Or a currant, or a date.
We're tasting anything.
Yeah.
You could add a little extra fruit if you'd like to, because it's fairly dense. I will admit, it's
really dense, but it's moist. It's got a good crumb. I'm pretty happy with that.
And it is still a bit warm.
Yes.
So it's fresh from the oven, kind of warm. I wonder if the lack of fat will...
They'll dry out quickly.
Yeah.
They will dry out quickly. Tomorrow they will definitely need to be toasted and slathered in butter. Nothing wrong with that, but, these are pretty good. Probably meant to be made as a much smaller muffin than what I made them.
It doesn't say how many you were supposed to make, so...
No. Easy to make.
Crumbs?
Super easy. Came together really quickly. You do need a big jug of maple syrup, though. So I can understand if some people aren't going to probably get there, but they're really good. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.